Welcome everybody to Crypto Rosetta. My name is Savage. Today we're going to be having a look at Quant. This is going to be an update video for our macro analysis. The lower time frame analysis video will be up above here, so check that out if that's more what you're interested in. Let's get into the charts and see what's going on. Okay, so we're going to go over the couple of the counts that we were looking at in the previous video. Now, we don't have a lot of price history here, so we have price history from July 2021. Now, because we don't have a lot of price history here, it is very hard to place where this is in the grand scheme of things here. So the way that I'm looking at it is, if we are looking at this in a bullish way, what we are saying is that we have a low in place here at this $40.15. And what we are looking for is the potential to see price continue to the upside in either a 3-wave move or continuing up here in a 5-wave sequence. So if we're looking at this as a 3-wave structure, potentially what we're looking at is a 1-to-1, given our current level here, would actually be this zone here of this $549 at that 1-to-1. We do also have the minimum requirement here towards this 618, which is sitting at this 282 level. So we will be keeping an eye on this. Now, in this case here, we could potentially still see price come down lower here. We have just touched on this 50% line here at this 9575 region. So what I'm looking for is that if we do form a 3-wave move up and we still look to continue down, then potentially we could still look to find support within this range. Starting to lose this lower 58.24 would make this count less reliable, and then we would be looking for that potential that if we start to lose this 786, it becomes more likely that we're going to actually have an interaction with the low, and if we take this low, it would invalidate the idea of this looking to extend to the upside. So the other way we were talking about this is that we could actually just have this as a bigger W, this is an X, and we're still looking for this potential of this Y wave to the downside. So as a minimum, we'd want to see this 4881 get hit as a Y wave to the downside, and what we'd be looking for within this is effectively 3 waves to the downside. So this is why we need to be a little bit careful with the structure that we're currently getting here. This can be a few things. It is very choppy, and we need to just be aware that we still do have potential for this downside. 1-to-1 would actually be here at this $18.81, but then these 786 and 854 area here, I would also be keeping an eye on that if we do look to move down. Now, looking at this higher time frame count here, we can also argue that we could be in something like this as a triangle, where this actually becomes our A wave. What we have is we subdivide this move slightly different. Instead of counting it as a 5-wave move, we count this as ABC into this upside, in which case what we could actually be doing is just forming a bigger triangle. Now, I am using this speed fan here to try and give me some points that could be interesting for interactions. Now, if we are looking at this, what we would say is that this is our B wave. Therefore, invalidation would be moving back above this 228, and invalidation to the downside would be below this $40.15. If this is forming as a ABC pattern here, for this C wave, typically speaking, what we look for is actually lower down here towards the zone of this $77 to the $73, but sometimes we might not reach these levels. So we need to just be on the lookout that this could potentially look to actually fall short here. Now, if this is looking to fall short, what I would like to see here is a move down towards this 0.618 level here, which is sitting at this 94.35 though, or at least across of this low point. So, you know, it's really close to this, but what we'd be looking for after this is effectively to see another 3-wave move to the upside, not breaking back above this high. Now, if we did actually look to turn around from where we are, what we could be looking at as a potential target level here would actually be this zone here of this 168 to this 164. Now, this would be interesting to me for a few reasons. Obviously, we have this time speed fan here, and we also do have this high in this zone. So a 3-wave move up into these levels could be quite an interesting zone to keep an eye on, because this could align with actually having this interaction for this D wave, looking for an E wave, and then we'd be looking for this upside potential. So the difference with this count is effectively what we would be looking at just doing here is becoming range bound before continuation to the upside. And then we'd be looking, we'd have to look at the internal counts for this move to try and get a target to the upside. So that's the difference here, that if we want to count this as a 3-wave move up, then potentially we could be looking at a triangle in this zone. Now, it is also possible that we could still actually be within this X wave here. So if we're looking at as being within this X wave, what we could actually have is the potential that this move here is actually a triangle the other way around, where we just have this as an A wave to the downside, and what we are doing is forming this smaller triangle here in a X wave or a B wave position. So this would actually be looking to break to the downside here. So the way that I would be looking at this is pretty much the same idea. I would like to see one more drop here past this 0.618, to be honest with you, like I said with that previous option. But what we'd be looking out for here effectively is that we could get this as A, B, and C to the downside for this B wave. And then we'd be looking for three-wave structure up, three-wave structure down, one more three-wave structure up for this E wave, and then that possibility of continuation to the downside. So looking at this count in this way, it would be very early days to say that this is a triangle, because we only get confirmation once we actually form this D wave over here. So we need to just be aware that until we actually form this D wave, we'd be on the lookout for other potentials here. And really, you know, until we start to break back above some of these highs, we need to be careful of the possibility of extension to the downside. Now, the other way we could argue that this is taking place is that if we are looking at this as an A wave to the upside, what we could have here is the potential that we could have a B wave triangle. This is why it is very tricky where we currently are here, because we could still be looking for the possibility that within here we could be looking to actually break to the downside still one more time, and this would become A, B, and then we'd see this C wave to the upside. So within this count, effectively what we'd be saying is that this is A, this is B, and this is C. So looking for this idea of coming back down into this lower target box here, possibly towards this zone of this 1-to-1, which would be here towards this $64, or at least into this golden pocket area here, which would be looking at this 77.99 to the 73.77 level. So this would be a very interesting level I will be keeping an eye on if we do actually look to move down into those zones. So the way that we'd be looking at this effectively would be the same idea here. What we'd be having here is slightly different target levels though. So we have targets drawn off of actually measuring this A wave and measuring off this B wave. So the green target here is actually based off of the B wave, and the yellow target is actually based off of the A wave. So these are going to be interesting levels. If we do see three waves to the upside here, I will be keeping an eye on this zone here, this 138.21 to this 135.80. Once again, we have some swing highs in this area, but we also do have this green target, which is based off of this B wave here. If we do see something like this, where we actually see a three-wave move to the upside, I will be looking out for this idea of this triangle, looking to actually come and then form this E wave here. But once again, we'd only get confirmation on this D wave. So the key thing here is I would still like to see another move down. The way that we would be looking at this move in this way is that we'd actually be saying that our B wave has become complex, where we look at this effectively as a double zigzag over here for the B wave. So we need to actually see this follow through to the upside. Otherwise, you know, this is possibly still something else where we can argue as well that we're looking for a diagonal pattern here, where we need to actually come down one more time here in a three-wave move. So this is technically possible, but once again, it's very early days in trying to analyze this as a triangle. If we start to see three waves up and we fail to break above this A wave, fail to break down below this B wave, potentially we could still be range bound within this zone here, and then look for that continuation to the downside at a later date. So going to be keeping an eye on this idea of this triangle as well. Is still technically possible. Now, another thing we were talking about is that if we are looking at the possibility that we are already starting to form this Y wave to the downside, what we are looking for is this 0.618. What I'm looking out for here is the potential that we could actually see price look to break to the downside. Where this becomes A, we get this as a B wave to the upside, and we look for the C wave down. Now, there is another way of looking at this. If we look at this as A, B, and then this move is incomplete, and we actually look to set another low here, potentially this could all become our A wave. We could then look for a three-wave move to the upside here, in which case we would look for this 189.55 to this 147 as a potential rejection zone, and then look for another move to the downside in a five-wave sequence if this is a W, X, and a Y. What we do need to be careful of, however, is we do have a five-wave move over here, so we need to be careful that this structure here isn't actually A, B, C, and we start to break down in a five-wave sequence. So this is why I'm saying, you know, it's very hard to read this bit at the moment, but if we do see a move to the upside still, yeah, based off of this low point here, 1-to-1 would actually be this 167 region, which would actually look to just pretty much sweep these highs. We do have the golden pocket sitting up in this range as well, this 167 to this 162, so I would be keeping an eye on that. And then as well as that, if we do look to move up higher here towards this 786, we do have one of our target boxes, which is between this 189 to this 176 region. So going to be keeping an eye on this if we do see price move back to the upside here. But we would still need to break out of this channel line here if this is the case. Now, if this is a flat here, typically speaking, what we would be looking for is the 1-to-1, which, like I said, is up here towards this 167. If we just get a move up here towards this 0.618, however, this would align with actually coming back into this channel where we just get a truncation in the C wave and we actually just move down from this point. Now, this is very rare, so it's not my primary expectation here. What I'm looking out for more is that we could actually start to develop a 5-wave move to the upside, looking to target up this higher box area. Now, for the most bearish scenario here, what we need to be careful is that we don't have this as a 1 and a 2, because if we do start to break down here and we start to break down past this zone of this $40.59, this would align with the idea that what we have here is 1, 2, and then this would all become 3, 4, and then 5, in which case our target area would potentially be towards this $35.29 to this $29.17, depending on the actual wave structure here. So if we are looking at this as 1, 2, then effectively what we are saying is that this could be potentially another 1, 2 here, but this move could always just be ABC. So we need to just be aware that this could always just be ABC here, and then we see a push up where this is A, B, and C. So until we actually take this high, though, we need to be aware of the more bearish situation here, where what we could actually have within this structure is that within the beginning part of this, we have this as 1, 2, 3, 4, looking for ABC for this 5th wave as a diagonal pattern. And then what we would be looking for is effectively a 3-wave move to the upside. Failure to break back above this 163.18 means that we do have this potential that we could see this actually develop as 1, 2, 1, 2 here. And then we'd be looking for this deeper 3rd wave towards 51.48. If we do move down into this zone, 3 waves to the upside, rejecting in this zone here of this 82.80 to this 64.41 could align with the idea of actually having this additional 5th wave to the downside here. And now if I just overlay the other count here, we can see that this would then align with coming back down into this 1618 level. So we're going to be keeping an eye on that level as a potential target area to the downside. Having a look at this local range here, what we can see is that we do have this value area high that is sitting up here. Now, if we do see price actually complete this, where we actually look to push down one more time, possibly come back and retest this value area low again, what we could see is that idea of that 3-wave move up and then that continuation to the downside. So we're going to be keeping an eye on this, as well as that we do have these target boxes up here that could potentially come into play. But what I want to see is if we do form another 5-wave move down here, this is A, B, and C, then this would align with the idea of this just being a corrective move. If we fail to break back above these highs, then we have to be careful of that continuation. So these are going to be key highs here moving forward if we do see price continue down. Now, we always need to be careful with this. Within that bearish count, what we could still see is that because we're looking for this possibility of a 5-wave move down, there is potential that I'm not counting this entirely correct here, where instead of counting this as part of our wave 3, where this becomes 1, 2, 3 here, this could actually be something like this, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 into here, in which case we have a corrective move here, and then we just start to break to the downside directly, and then we would be looking for this to actually move down directly here. So we need to be careful, because until we actually break back above this 117.06 and this high here of this 121.97, we do have that possibility that price could actually just start to form a series of 1s and 2s here, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Then we start to break down, then we start to get that series of additional 4ths and 5ths, and then we can start actually looking at this move slightly different, where this is all looking at this 3rd wave already being in play, looking for this target lower down here. Okay, so I'm going to leave the video there. I hope you found it useful. If you did, please smash the like button, hit that subscribe button if you haven't already, turn on those bell notifications so you never miss a video, and leave us some feedback down below. Also in the description, you will find a link to Discord. Come check it out. It's free to join. Everyone have a great day. We'll see you in the next one. Take care.